Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello, welcome back to the channel. It is finally collection day of my new Lotus Emira. Now we went out to the home of Lotus in Hethel, England about probably a month ago to go and see my very car at the Chapman Production Centre. In fact, we went with Final, my friend's very final last Lotus Elise Cup 250. We've got his first car right up above, the S1 with the full carbon body, but it's time at long last to go and pick up what is actually my first Lotus, the Emira with the V6, with a manual gearbox, a first edition in Hethel yellow. And in fact, we even actually have the plates ready and waiting. SH13MEE, simplify, then add lightness, a quote from Colin Chapman. Let's do this. Today is Emira Collection Day. Fun fact, these plates have previously been on a Lotus Emira temporarily. Now, of course, the 13 has been on a few other Shmuseums. It was last on the BMW M3. Before that, it was on the red edition Ford Focus RS. But I've chosen this plate for the Emira because the code name for the car is Type 131. Seems pretty suitable. And when we had a test car here from the factory, it was in a spec almost identical to mine. So we actually popped these on to take some photos for a bit of fun. But of course, these are waiting to go onto my car that we shall see very shortly. Now, you could actually win a brand new Lotus Emira with BOTB, and there's going to be more on that later on, so stay tuned. But today, considering the weather outside is pretty horrific, we're not going to be taking either of the Lotus Elises out on this voyage. We're going to be heading in the Shmuseum team car, which is the Skoda Octavia VRS, to go and pick up the bright yellow little sports car. In fact, we currently have an absence of bright yellow here in the garage. The GT Black Series is in the US. It is going to look wonderful with all of these a little bit later on. But I think we should go get on the road. It is time today to go and pick it up. The Emira is awaiting. Welcome to dreary winter weather as we make our way. This is, as I said, not the best for a new car collection day, but hey, it does not dampen the excitement. We've got a couple of hours on the road to head back towards Hethel, and then the car is going to be awaiting us. Isn't this just the perfect weather for a new car collection day? Being British, we must always talk extensively about the weather, and today is the perfect example. Although we're about to arrive, we are here in Hethel, entering towards Lotus. We did actually pass an Emira that was pulling out of a petrol station on the other side of the road, and it was Hethel yellow as well, the colour of mine. So yeah, the last little bit now, and we shall be there. This is it, we are arriving. The home of Lotus. There's nothing more special than heading to a company's HQ to collect your car from the factory. Lotus for the drivers. The Chapman Production Centre is that away. We're gonna head inside, go sign on, get our badges, get our passes to head to the brand centre where my car is gonna be waiting. We're inside, this is where we're coming to, which probably means my car is tucked inside there somewhere. I'm looking around trying to spot if I can see anything, but I think that's where we're going. Here we are then. I have my factory collection pass. They have this completely new setup because you can have the car delivered to your home, you can have the car delivered to your dealership of choice, or you can come here to Hethel, where we're actually standing right beside it under the cover just here. Now, you receive these in advance. It's a bit like a golden ticket coming here to Hethel for the delivery day, and we've actually seen this car, but I haven't seen it fully prepared in its finished state, wearing my plates, and of course, crucially, ready to be driven home. Now, before we get to that, very quickly to show you some of the cars that are actually here in the handover area, because we'll check this out. This Esprit, and in particular, the interior of this Esprit. Come and have a look at this. It's a car that's been around the world, but that green with the plaid with the orange carpets on the yellow car, what a specification. That is genuinely incredible. We then have an early Elise. Of course, we know all about the Elises from the cars that we have back at home. There are actually a few other Emiras around at the moment. We have the Shadow Grey, we have the Seneca Blue, and also coming back all the way around to the other end, down there, we have a Nimbus Grey. You can also get the car at the moment in Dark Verdant, the dark green, also in Magma Red. But this is special. This is a 1981 Turbo Esprit. It's actually Colin Chapman's final ever company car. This one that's right here with a very, very red interior. But that is really quite special to see and to be in the presence of that for the unveiling of this. Should we have a sneak peek at the plate? Come on, come and have a look at this. Let me pull this cover off. SH13 MEE on the Hethel yellow. I think it's time. Let's get this fully unveiled. It's at this point that you can go for a factory tour, but having already been to visit the Chapman Production Centre when this car was at the end of the line, we're going to get straight to this. We also happen to have here the guidebooks and the 2 keys for the car. We shall come back to those in a moment because it's time to do this. So let me reveal to you all, in its final ready to be driven out state, my Emira first edition in Hethel yellow. We've got the contrast of the gloss black roof. This interior is really nice, very pleased with that. Look at this thing. Wow. How cool is this? Silver wheels with the black calipers, the light grey interior, wearing the Shmee plate, ready to go and become significantly dirtier on the roads outside. How good does this look? Let's go for a walk around of the new Shmeemobile, the Hethel Yellow Emira that I spec'd at the tail end of last year, so about 14 or 15 months ago, but now here in all of its glory. So a few things to point out. You could opt to have either the Sport or the Touring chassis. I went for the Sport chassis along with the Sport Cup 2 tyres because, well, hey, who cares if the weather's like this today? We'll be careful with it and enjoy to the max. And then all of the silver options for the wheels, as I said, the black calipers, and then that interior. Let me come over and grab one of the keys so I can come and show you this a little bit more. The new style key, unlock it, press here to open the door handles, and then have a look inside here. A very light interior, which is definitely going to need some looking after to keep it looking nice. We've got that lovely Lotus embossing there and the carpets on the doorsill. I hadn't actually spotted that before. The exposed linkage here with the manual gearbox. I went with the 6-speed manual along with the V6 as opposed to the DCT that will be with the 4-cylinder engine that comes a little bit further down the line. Look at this, absolutely immaculate, pristine, brand new. In fact, let me just pop open the boot. There we go, hold that one. This opens up. A little bit of luggage space, and of course that 400 horsepower power plant mid-mounted right behind you. I wonder how much luggage I can squeeze in back here. We've got the toolkits and things tucked in that away. Close this back down for the moment. I think that immediately seals itself. We've got the first edition badging on all of the first edition cars. Only these 6 colours available at first. There'll be more down the line. But of course, this is how I have opted to go for it. Look at this. In fact, I'm going to take a seat inside. Look at the carpets, that's really nice with the Emira embroidery down there. Step inside. Here we are. Here we are. 17 miles on the clock, brand new, ready to go. Many fun miles of this ahead. What a feel. Short throw. This is going to be so good. Into reverse. This is going to be so much fun. Many, many miles. Maybe not as many miles as Harry. He took his straight from here on a 2,500 mile road trip. Mine at this time of year is probably going to be heading largely home for the time being. We'll see what happens down the line. Alcantara steering wheel, controls, a Lotus with cup holders. This is the start flap over the top of the start button, I should say. Everything to learn about it and go through the setup and things now. Driving modes here. We will have a bit of a running in process. The first 1,000 miles is limited to 4,500 RPM before we're going to be able to stretch it up towards the top end of the red line. So we've got plenty of familiarization to go with the car ahead. Quality and feel is all really impressive and a whole new system for me to learn as well. Looking back behind, a little bit of space behind the seats as well for some luggage. And that view through towards the engine back there also. Wow, this is really, really nice. This is going to be an exciting one. Before it's time to hop into my Emira to drive back here to the Shmuseum, you could win a Lotus Emira with BOTB. Now, I've been working with BOTB for over a decade, and I've met so many winners along the way. Along with many different dream cars, the Lotus Emira is part of the dream car competition, with tickets starting from just £2.10. Entries are open worldwide. You need to be over 18, but it could be you winning an Emira or one of the other cars. Do check out BOTB, but for now, it's time to hop back over to Hethel to jump on board my Emira to drive it home. I have just had my induction tour, if you will, to the car, so all customers get an opportunity for a one-on-one complete run-through to learn everything, and I've actually found out so many super cool details, which I will share in an up-and-coming video, but I want to show you a couple of things while we're here. The first of those is the attention to detail. Have a look at this. All of the wheels have the center caps the right way up for delivery. Small little things, but when you notice them, you've really noticed them. Now, on top of that, by coming here up to Hethel to collect the car, you actually receive a discount in the gift shop, which is quite nice. I might have purchased something. Plus another lovely little detail, which is to have an exact image of your car in your spec, which is signed as well. Super nice. Very excited to be part of the Lotus family. Let me delicately place that on the engine for the moment to show you I have a bit of an obsession with car brand jackets, so I had to pick up a jacket to match the new car, of course, a shell jacket while I'm here, which actually with the voucher was only £35 or so, which is very, very welcome. I'll tuck that back in there for the time being. You can actually fit a surprising amount of stuff back here, and that's of course before we then use the area inside the car. This closes down more easily than I thought. You don't need to give it an awkward stab, but it's time to get mine started, to take it outside and to go drive in that lovely weather that we're looking at. Perfect. Nice, ready to be taken on outside. Look at this. Out my Emira emerges then from the handover bay, here into the slight drizzle, unfortunately. It's a good thing it's a tiny car to fit on out through the doorways there. But here she is, outside. Look at this, with the fog and the mist. The main test track is over there, which is why, by the way, this car has a few miles on it, as opposed to cars that have next to none, because it has been tested, thoroughly inspected, and ready to go, as a pair of Seneca Blue cars actually head straight on by, almost disappearing into the gloom. With a line of cars over there, I spot dark verdant, I spot a magma red one off in the distance, in fact, hiding behind the dark green. Super cool to see all of this. Very exciting times for Lotus with everything that's happening. And of course, this ready to head onwards. Here we go then, into the Emira. The seats are super soft. All right, first time for me starting it up. Press the button. That sounds good. So this car, by the way, has wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, which is really welcome. Obviously, we do have this glorious weather, quickly getting gloomy. Not what you want. We're in tour mode at the moment. Probably we'll turn it up into sport. We've got a full tank of fuel. But yeah, here we go. My first ever Lotus. It's finally happened at long last. Park brake, into first gear, and out we go. Off we head in the Lotus Emira. Here we go. This is where the journey begins as we drive out. How cool is it to be right here, even though the conditions are like this, which is not ideal. Slow speed, it feels super light. We depart from the historic grounds of Lotus HQ to venture our way out from here. We need to hand back our passes at the front entrance, and then we start playing with all of the different driving modes. Here we go, we've got Tour, Sport, and Track. We shall get to that shortly. For the moment, out we go. Little bit of throttle pedal needed. Exciting. I think the last manual car I drove prior to today was a Carrera GT. And now I find myself in my Emira. Very, very different driving experiences. But now that we're out, ready for the first miles, let me leave this running. We do have heated seats actually. Where's the button for the heated seats? I need to find that. Is it in here? You press here for climate. Yes, there we go. This is where we can turn on the heated seats. And then set this for auto. So we've got the AC blasting. Put it back on to like a sensible temperature. Cool. Let me go and hand the passes in, and then we can roll. Off we go. Passes returned. Farewell to the Lotus HQ as we go from here. Brand new car, running in mileage. Got to make sure I'm sensible with all of this. I always like to follow the recommendation. I know it's a little bit boring. It would be so much cooler to just throw a massive burnout away from the factory gate. But the truth is, if you want to keep a car for long term and protect it, then you need to be thinking longevity. And to think longevity, you want to optimize the engine, to do it properly, to run it in properly, to make sure it's loosened up so that you can enjoy it more down the line. To do what they recommend, warranty matters, doing it properly matters. So I'd love to absolutely boot it right now, but temptations might be there, especially with the slippy ground that we have right now, but I'm gonna just cruise along. We'll rock and roll, enjoy the drive. It's not the first time I've driven it. I will be able to do many miles with it down the line. A lot of fun to come with this. But for now, it's about the journey back towards the Shmuseum. I'm about, what, 3 or 4 miles then into the drive. And obviously, because I've got the sport chassis, you feel more of the bumps, but that's what's going to make it spectacular out on track. The Tour is just a fraction softer. I got to see the different springs when I was visiting the factory, to see literally the difference between them. But we are going to head out onto the dual carriageway with an average speed camera, limited section, lovely. I tell you what though, my first impression is that I'm probably going to end up driving this and using this a whole lot more than I would have initially expected that I would. That's because it's a very welcoming car. Obviously it's small, it's nimble, we know that, but it's actually got a decent amount of luggage space for what I would want. Things like the wireless Android Auto make a huge difference to usability of a car, because you just hop in and it's all good to go and you've got your Waze ready to rock and roll. And it's such a nice interior. This cabin with the dash trim, with this contrast of the leather and the wraparound, we've got the KEF sound system, is all really, really smart, and there are some cool details in here, most of which I want to share for the full induction video, just to really be able to show you everything. But there's stuff I hadn't noticed before about the Emira, stuff that, I don't know, I don't think another company could do, and Lotus is so welcoming. The company and everybody at Hethel is so welcoming, from the minute you arrive at the security office to all the people involved in the whole process. And it's a huge thanks to Scott, Sam and the team for hosting us today, for everything as well. But I mean, this just feels really cool. The long-awaited Lotus Emira finally on the road back home, even if we're starting on some pretty chewed up ground here. This is not the ideal place to be driving it, and the ideal conditions to be driving it in. This is where I'm going to let the Skoda come past. Our team car is right alongside the Octavia VRS that we have done many miles with, in fact, over on the Shmuseum channel. In fact, it totals now, I think, 5,000 miles in 2 months or so, so really enjoying it as much as we possibly can, getting the most out of it and using it for all of our errands and trips, a little bit like today. Probably slightly more suitable for a trip like today than this car is. But it's all fun and games. We'll make it back home. This is kind of fun. On the dashboard, 99.9. And we're about to 100. That's funny, the trip is ahead of the Odo. But the first 100 miles done.
We're here! The Emira arrives at the Shmuseum, and as probably we expected, it's absolutely filthy. Just look at this, look at the dirt and grime around the back of this thing. Brand new, 100 or so miles old, and absolutely filthy. It's kind of cool though, because you can actually see the way the airflow goes down the side, the way it comes along here towards the cooling, and then you've got it going back over the arches as well. A small upshot
of a car getting absolutely filthy. Look at it around here as well, around the gloss black roof. One question I know a lot of people are going to ask me about this thing, PPF, paint protection film. Shmeemobiles always go to Topaz to get PPF before I drive them on the road. This currently does not have PPF, and a few things about this. Firstly, it's Christmas time. Topaz are closed for Christmas. It's not an option. Secondly, considering the paint and the value, I'm happy to take the chance for the first little period. It's a flat yellow color, so if I do happen to get a stone chip, it's not as hard as like a pearlescent metallic or something really, really crazy that's completely bespoke to touch it in. You can always do a small touch in, and I'm not going to drive it a whole lot in the coming period until that's been done. So watch this space for a visit to get the PPF finished at some point soon. But impressions from the first drive, I tell you what, there are a few things you need to adapt to. I think probably due to the weather, the brake pedal needs a little bit of familiarization because there's nothing at first and then it's suddenly very grabby. But I think that is down to brand new brakes and lots of rainwater on the road. The shifter feels awesome. Just driving a manual car gives you so much more engagement. You know, this is far from the only manual here. Obviously, the two other releases are over at the far end. We've got the technically two hatches, the Clio V6, and the Focus RS, and yes, I'm aware that's actually 3, and we've got the GT8 tucked in here as well. Nothing quite like a proper, raw, engaging driving experience. 400 or so horsepower is going to be plenty. Obviously today, I've only driven up to 4,000 RPM or so touching, scratching on the surface of what the Emira is all about, but it's a very cool looking thing. You notice that people are looking at it and taking it in. I've said since day one that the appearance of this punches so far above its weight. Looking at this car, it's an 80 grand car, 80,000 pound car, but it looks like a supercar. It looks like something that should cost 150,000. If you put this alongside an R8 or a 911 or something of that kind of nature, it fits right in. It's absolutely a home. And it's crazy to think that when you spec a new Ferrari or something, you actually spend that value in options normally. That entire car in optional spec is normal on a 300,000 or 400,000 pound supercar. You get so much value for money with this. And of course, there will be other derivatives. There will be the 4-cylinder with the dual clutch. There's also an auto derivative of this Toyota-derived supercharged V6 engine. But this is, for me, a winning combo. This is a really cool thing. Now, as part of the induction tour, I learnt how you open the front and what's underneath that, which I'm going to have to show you at some point soon. I learned a little bit more about what you do should the battery go flat. Now, of course, here at the Shmuseum, we put everything onto CTEK smart chargers to make sure that they retain their battery power and are always good to go. But I'll need to show you all of that in the upcoming piece, so be tuned to the Shmuseum for that as well. I'm very, very, very happy with my choice of interior. It will need some work to keep it clean. It is super, super light, but it's very smart. The inserts on the seats, the dual tone split, the materials and fit and finish is actually really good. This is not what you expect from a Lotus. When you think about a Lotus, you're not thinking latest technology, cup holders, creature comforts, heated seats, everything that this car offers. Sound system, maybe there are some configurations, but definitely not the best at first. But I guess we'll have a full review after more miles on the road, more time to get to grips with exactly what this car is all about. But day one has gone pretty well. To collect a new car from the factory where it's actually assembled is a really special thing to do, and you have to pay £199 on top of the price of the car to be able to do that, but well worth it. I would recommend everybody who can make the time to get there to collect one of these does so, because it's an awesome experience, as you might have seen from other people as well. So while I'm not going to do as many miles as quickly as Harry Metcalf did, big shout out to his videos. Super cool to see the journey straight underway with his brand new Emira. I am going to drive it a lot over time, so do stay tuned for all of that. I think it's probably going to be my daily. I'm going to head home with it tonight anyway to enjoy the drive. Do remember also that you could win one of these or one of your dream cars with BOTB. All the information down below if you'd like to find out about the dream car competitions. But I think that's pretty much it for collection day of the Lotus Emira First edition, arriving here at the Shmuseum, and indeed a very Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you for joining me for the start of this journey, and I'm looking forward to a lot more to come. That's it for now, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.